Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. All right, Taurus. So tonight we have the Two of Discs, the Two of Coins, the Two of Pentacles, the Two of Pentacles. However you like to say it, whichever system you are most keen to. I know some people have very strong opinions about the coins, but today we have, the Two of Discs. And so we have a energy of change, an energy of the higher and the lower flowing together, working in unison, all things coming into their balance as they should, as they, maybe you've worked so hard for them to do so. And so you can think of, the macro being this higher place, the heavens, the higher thinking, creativity, really where I think a lot of us wish that we could dwell all the time, right? Now, then we also have the micro, the micro and the macro. So the lower, right? The Malkuthian kingdom, the material, the place where we, play out our lives, right? The theater of ordeals, or the theater world, as it is called, in some esoteria and alchemy. Well, some, right? Adjacent. So the theater of the world theater. And so these things all coming together, flowing in your direction, right? In your favor, I would say. I hope, anyways. Let's take a look. We're going to see. So, Taurus, how is your season going? My goodness, it has been busy over here. And summer just seems to be, I don't know. I always think I'm going to get a break. Why do I always think that? Why do I always think summer is going to be the break? It is never the break. It is so much busier than any other time of the year. It's wild. And yet, next year I'll say the same thing. Oh, good, summer's coming. It's going to be, really chill. So if you want to share about what you've been doing in your summer months, or if you are in the southern hemisphere, of course, we know that you are in winter. If you would like to share about what you have been doing, I would love to hear all about it. Put it in the comments. If you also want to like or subscribe to the channel, that would be wonderful. I would love to see you again. And towards the end of the reading, I'm going to talk a little bit about some channel announcements and announcements for the broader Dove and Serpent / Ula Tea Leaf reading, kind of banner or whatever, all about the umbrella, right? We default to Dove and Serpent tarot over here, but Ula is always heavily woven into everything, right? So we'll talk about that at the end, towards the end. All right, let's get going here. So I feel like there has been a sense of I almost feel like you are related to maybe somebody who I want to say is almost kind of a religious figure in your local community, maybe like, rabbi, minister, maybe somebody who is heavily involved, right, in the congregation, in fellowship, maybe, somebody that runs like schooling for the children in the community, does the outreach, or, something like this. I feel like it's somebody who, is, well respected, well loved. To me, it almost feels like there is a sense of listen, here's the deal. Let's look at this. We have a robe, okay, and the arm reaching out. There seems to be almost like a bow and arrow as well that has the heart. So we have this kind of motif of Cupid, Eros, the love bringer, right? The god of love. Now up here we have a head. It looks almost like a child. We have the eyes, the little mouth. And so then the robe kind of all together, it looks almost like an altar boy. That's kind of where I got this energy of somebody who, really kind of dwells within their spiritual community. Now, it doesn't, just because I am witnessing this formation as being something, akin to an altar boy, doesn't mean that it has to do with, Catholicism or Orthodoxy or anything like that. But a figure of a pure-hearted, young, maybe lowly initiated participant in a spiritual system, religious system. Now, here's the other deal. We have a face, okay? In the robe, you can see the eyes, the nose, the angry mouth. Really just a feeling of, as you open up, you start to realize this is a person who has some maybe deep anger issues, maybe even, moves in one way, right? And completely broadcast the completely different side of one of their meticulously crafted personas, okay? So, no, I'm not trying to bad talk this person. Not at all. Listen, we all have the potential for this kind of configuration. And to be honest, I think most of us, if not all of us, have had periods of time in our being, in our existence, where yes, of course, we were playing roles. And maybe beneath it all, even maybe so deeply so, that we didn't even realize how much anger we were carrying with us, right? How deeply angry, rageful, frustrated, uncomfortable, reactive we really are during that cycle for whatever reason, right? Maybe it is the beginning of us needing to work on something. Maybe it is, something that has happened in particular. Maybe it is something that, it is the baggage that we carry with us because it feels like it's familiar. It reminds us of home, And so I do feel like this is a person that for some reason or another, they're really coming up potently in your mind. This is maybe one of the first people in your life at a young age, right? When you're a kid, you start to experience people in these more complex ways. You start to see that they have different sides of self, that they are many things. And I feel like for you, this was almost kind of an initiation into understanding human nature. understanding that no, people aren't just this kind of two-dimensional thing. They're not just even a three-dimensional thing. I mean, my goodness, we are, far into the reaches of these unperceivable dimensions. And so, I feel like this was the first time, that little glimpse, that awakening, that moment where you realize, okay, this is a human being. I'm related to a human. My parents, my grandparents, my aunt, my uncle, whoever it might be, this person is complex. This person is not just the name and smile that I kind of, maybe think of them as most of the time. All of a sudden, you see something, you witness, you realize. Okay, and that's where we are with that. I look up here and we have L-I-E, lie. So not only do we see that, okay, this is a person that's many things. This is a person that, is very aware of how they are being perceived by others. This is a person who performs, right? This is a person who you maybe experience as ingenuine. This might be the first time that you see this person is fake. I remember maybe two different instances where this really stands out in my mind when I was young. These moments of realization. One, I grew up in a household of addiction. So everything was about hiding. Hiding what was going on at home, hiding, what people were doing, not telling, making sure certain family members, certain people in my life didn't know, like when my parents would relapse or this or that. So I remember being acutely aware of, misguiding people, as far as my parents really trying to put on this act of, we're good, everything is, together, so that's the first, I think, really, the acute awareness that I had as a kid. But also here, and this one's maybe more universal for people, especially if you are older like myself, and you remember when people didn't text message, we had to call each other. And, hearing your mom on the phone in that phone voice. Do you remember phone voice? And then, you're bugging her and she looks at you and says, "Get out of here," or "I'm on the phone," and it's that oh shoot, she's not messing around. So you see there is this dichotomy and it is very apparent, right? And if you had that experience ever in your life, it's okay. So we're playing two different roles at the same time. We're in two different headspaces at the same time, right? And so I feel like this complexity of this person, this ability to fool others, to go about things, and yes, and lying. And it seems just straight up lying about certain things. I assume, I can't see what that is, but this left a huge impression on you. Absolutely. Now, I do feel I do feel that there was a certain amount of and we have a person sitting here, right, in a chair, foot out, and another person kind of holding the foot. They almost looks like they're kneeling, like they are maybe rubbing their feet, cleaning their shoes, whatever. It is obviously a power dynamic here, right? So I almost feel like there is a sense of being very resistant to subservience for you. I think that this is maybe one of the ultimate challenges in your life. And I think it has gotten in your way at times, right? Like if you're doing some kind of work, it feels menial. You don't want anybody telling you what to do, or, like you're getting to that age where all of a sudden your coworkers, the management, they're starting to get younger and younger and younger. Well, we're all getting older and older and older, and there is. I mean, listen, I wouldn't say that I have any kind of ageism going on, but let's be real. It feels weird to have somebody who's much younger, at least for the first time, right? If it's your first time and this happens, as somebody much younger telling you what to do, especially if it's a job that you've had for a long time. You've been there for years. You maybe even been there longer than that kid has been, able to drive, right? So I do feel like there is a sense of maybe coming into a situation here where you're going to have to kind of temper yourself and maybe, really remind yourself like, okay, I don't necessarily like how this is lined up. I don't necessarily like the people I'm working with in this situation. I don't necessarily like the person who is, telling me what to do, or at least in this leadership role. But this is important, whatever it is. And this is a place where that humbling really needs to be looked at, focused on, employed, really employed. And, and I'm just laughing because I know I'm the same. I try to be as humble and open, and, I have my bad days though. Of course I do. Of course I do. And one thing, here's an example for me. When we bought a house, I've never owned a house before. And, we've had people come out and work on the house and stuff, and they usually will default to my husband. Even if it's things that I obviously am the one that runs it, a lot of yard work stuff and household things too, right? And they default to somebody else who maybe even has said, my wife's the one that does all that. You need to talk to her, And so that strikes something within myself that I didn't even know existed, because I had never been in a situation where this kind of communication or lack thereof, right? This kind of diverting around me kind of thing would happen. And I thought it was so bizarre. I thought it was so bizarre because it seemed like such a cliche that I could not compute. But here we are, right? And sometimes for the betterment of the situation, to make things run more smoothly, more timely, for them to just happen as I need them to happen, sometimes we have to. Now, I'm not saying that we bend to them. I'm not saying that we accept them. But we have to find a way, right? We have to find a way to, artfully. Sometimes it's like, mental gymnastics to get through the thing as Well, I would say gracefully as possible, because that is often the most productive. They say honey, I can't remember. What is the saying? Like, give flies honey, not, I don't know, venom. I don't know. You're going to draw them in with the honey, right? And I'm not saying that that's the only thing that matters, but I am saying that sometimes we get out of ourselves. Sometimes we go back to these old, coping mechanisms. We take things personally, where it's not always personal, right? So I'm looking at the situation. Something's going on. You don't necessarily like it, but you know what? I think it's just something that, we get through it. We forget about it. It's like in the Tao, right? You do the work. You do the work to completion. And then you put the work down. You forget about the work. You walk away from the work because the work has been done, right? You have been in that place and now you are leaving it. And, so I think that this is a situation where, it might not feel like how you wanted things to be kind of set up. You maybe didn't play the role that you wanted to, but you know what? That's sometimes life. Sometimes we have to do the thing that we don't really care for that much, right? So the other part of this, though, is we have the person going towards the scythe, which is also the 3. So we have that holy triad number, but we also have the scythe, which is all about harvesting. So I do feel like as you get through this situation, and maybe it's even more than one situation, maybe this is something that is an ongoing thing, not long-term, but something that you just got to do. Maybe you're picking up a side hustle. Maybe, you're doing like extra shifts. Maybe, you're going back to some work that you used to do that you didn't think, okay, I didn't see myself coming back to this, but here we are. I need to make a little extra money or whatever it is. So I feel like, ultimately, because we have the person like walking towards this scythe, ultimately, I feel like this is going to not only end up being productive on the level that you were hoping it would be, but I think it is going to surpass even what you thought you would make, right? So, I've always worked in like kitchens and in restaurants and that kind of thing. A few other jobs, but mostly restaurant work. So if you've ever waited tables or worked for tips, the thinking is that, you can make as much money as you want. Now, of course, there are a lot of variables that go into that, and that's not always the truth about working for tips. But on an ideal day, right, when there are lots of customers and, it is based on like how well you could do your job. And I'm saying this is ideal. This is utopic thinking, right? You can make a lot of money. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes like the universe aligns, and yes, that does happen. But not always the case, right? But I do feel like in this situation, there is really this alignment where it is how much you put into this opportunity. And this is how we kind of have to sometimes frame it for ourselves, is this is an opportunity versus like, my regular job has been slow, so now I got to make some more money, or something came up. I need new tires for the truck. So I'm going to have to do some other work to make money to buy those tires, right? And now it's like I'm mad about that, or I feel like I'm failing in some way. This like reflects on me, or listen, I just don't want to do it, right? It's just more stuff to do. But instead of going into it with that kind of stinking thinking vibe, looking at it as this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for me to make something. This is an opportunity for me to, kind of see where I'm at with things. I don't know. I like to compete with myself. So I like to see, like, am I still good at this? Am I, like, still the best at this? Am I, like, am I as good as I remember myself being? Usually not, right? But I do feel like, yeah, if you make this a thing for yourself that, like, it activates that competitive nature I know you have, you'll be golden. This will be like a vacation for you, right? I see you really getting into your flow and I do think ending up kind of almost redirecting your energies in general. Yeah, I mean, like, it could end up being like this was your side hustle and it ends up being the main thing that you do for money, right? And it's your thing. And that's the big vibe here, I feel. This is like your thing, okay? And you are a person, I think, that probably operates more smoothly when, it's just you, ultimately. Now, we also have the number 213. Okay, so 213. Now, we have a female energy that is really into Egypto, aesthetic, culture, maybe it uses it in their magical work, maybe a hermeticist or something, ceremonial magician of some kind. But I do think that there's something to do with like Egyptian jewelry or a tattoo or something like that, okay? I see this person is visiting or kind of coming into like a place of being reunited with you, hanging out more often again. I do feel like this is somebody that you go in cycles with. You do have periods of time where you cut each other off. So I think that there is a sense of like a lot of emotional history together. It maybe is like a sibling, because it feels very potent at times where you have had some really big blow-ups. Now, I do feel like there is something going on in the outskirts of your life within the extended family that really is going to bring you back together physically. And I do think that this is something that is going to be more about loss than celebration. So I do think that in some way there is a sense of like shared grief possibly, and I think a reason to really kind of reunite with one another. That's the feeling I really get. There is like a reason, a common hurt, a common goal, something going on where it feels like, you belong together. You need each other. Okay, we also have a plane right up here. Okay, we have the number 42. Something about so I feel like so it is July. So in July, there seems to be, and this one is, it is J-E, Geo or Jeep maybe, Ginny, Joe. It could be Joey. That's what it looks like to me, Joey. But the O and the E are switched. J-E-O-Y, Joey. So it would be J-O-E-Y, right? So Joey. Okay, in July, J-U-L-Y, July. So I keep feeling like there's a lot of like spruce trees, evergreens. So I feel like there's a sense of like lake life, vacation, mountainous, maybe there's water, there's forest, a lot of evergreens. And I almost feel like this is like a place where this person, and it's a masculine energy that has transcended. Now, I don't know if they've passed already years ago, and maybe you're coming together to kind of celebrate, in their memory or something, but I can't tell if it's recent or if it's old, if it's something that's like few years ago. But this is an outdoorsman. Or at least, like, fancied themselves to be. Maybe it wasn't, like, truly out there roughing it, but I do feel like they fancied themselves to be an outdoorsman. But that energy is a binding one. I feel like it's one that really connects you and this sibling. Maybe it's your mother. It feels like somebody who feels more like a peer, though. And it feels like you've just had some really deep conflicts, but also lots of love. Now we have 25. 25 is our first lucky number. 47. 25, 47, and... Nope, 47 again. Let's do another. 75. Is that what the... Things are potent. I really feel like I woke up in a bizarro land today. And now we're like fully into the Saturn retrograde, which really... You've seen the Saturn symbolism in my pictures and my artworks and my readings and so on, and I am feeling this retrograde. I was wondering what the heck was going on for like 3 days before it happened, and I kept forgetting, like, okay, this is like we're going retrograde here in a few minutes, and then it all hit me. I could not figure out why things felt so weird. And everything was just kind of, just kind of like messing up. Everything just felt like it was falling apart. Not big things, little things, like dropping stuff and grabbing the wrong thing. And like, I don't know, glitchy. Everything felt glitchy. And, so today still feels weird, a little bit strange. Although my daughter is sick, so I wonder if I'm getting sick. That's the other thing. Maybe I'm getting sick. We have the water blessing affirmation cards. I'm going to go ahead and flip through. Ooh, that one really, okay, I guess we're doing this one because it just jumped out. And also it's smoky here. So maybe that's why. I'm thinking out loud about why I don't feel good. I'm sorry. So we have number 30, youth and beauty. As you are a match with joy, you will discover hidden pearls within your being. You will discover hidden pearls within your being. All right, Taurus. So I want to say thank you for being here. I love you. Absolutely. If you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, please do. I'd love to hear from you. And If you have a prayer request, you can put that in the comments, or you can email it to me at ulaishere@gmail.com. And I just wanted to mention we have some new channels up. I shared a video that my husband made. My husband's Paul over at Dove and Serpent Tarot. Go check him out if you haven't. He made a video with like the announcements of the channels, and I don't know. I didn't watch it. I'm going to be honest. I haven't watched the video of what it said, but I assume he told you about some of our new channels. We are doing one called Dove and Serpent Adventures. That's the one I'm going to be working on the most. So we have that one. It'll be more behind the scenes kind of stuff. Then Paul also started Dove and Serpent Radio, which is kind of more of a podcasty format or old school radio show kind of thing. I will be doing some stuff with him on that one. We also have Dove and Serpent Daily, and what was the other thing? Oh, Tarot Logic. Those ones are more Paul, although I do, obviously we do everything in the back, in the production side of things, and the administrative side of the business. We do all that stuff together. So anyways, I'm excited about these different things going on, these different projects, and check them out. I'm going to be posting a post in the community section that has like all the links and all of that stuff in there. I'm sure that you'll be seeing that, posted quite a bit in the next months to come. So please go and check out some of those channels. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I think that's it. All right. I love you. I love you. I love you. Take care of yourself. We're going to talk in a few days. Good night. Good night.